I was in a relationship, like my first love, and he recognized that he needed to be sober, and and then that made me think, well, maybe I should also be sober because this has gotten out of hand, right? And then he was a musician. He's like, I think I'm going to travel a little bit solo,
Phil, for you.
to try and practice like celibacy, sobriety, and to do some heavy work, right?
Huh.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old?
Yep.
That's
Hmm.
a that's a pretty insightful thing for a 20-year-old to want to do.
He's a phenomenal person.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to practice celibacy,
Hmm.
sobriety, and go on a
Like Jack
walkabout. Yeah.
Kerouac
Yeah.
situation where he drives around and plays, and
Jack
yeah.
Kerouac would have probably done drugs
Well,
though.
right, the sober Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if it was, if I had good intentions with this or not. I don't know if I was trying to one up him, but I was like, well, I'm gonna go to India and I'm gonna be celibate, celibate and sober and practice yoga and study with a teacher, right?
You
And
one-upped
so
him.
yeah, yeah.
You one-upped your way into enlightenment. Like,
And so I did. So at 20 I went to
I'll
to
show
India for the
you,
first time.
dude. I'll
Yeah.
go get enlightened. Okay.
Uh,
So you
no,
went to
funny.
India for the first time when you
Yeah.
were 20,
20. Yeah.
20,
And that was, of course, life-changing, right? And then that kind of set me on a different path.
studying yoga in India when you were 20 something.
Mhm. Yeah.
How long were you there?
So I had saved up to be there for a year, 2 years, and was ready, right? And then 3 months in, I did not make very good decisions back then, like, from the beginning, like, I'm just single female, 20 years old, gonna go to India by myself and not plan anything and just arrive in the city. Probably not the wisest thing to do. I'm also going to take out all of my money out of the bank account and carry it in cash. Why? I don't
Oh my
know.
goodness. So
And
I kind of see the foreshadowing there.
right, and then on a bus, that was packed, like those buses that you're just, like, shoulder to shoulder, and there's chickens and all the things,
Yes.
and I'm trying to get off the bus, and someone very easily just probably pulled out like, one of those, like, it was the thing that you normally wear under your shirt, like a little, like, for your passport, right?
Yes.
And I had all my money in it, so thousands of dollars of cash, and,
Oh my God.
gone.
You were
Yep.
robbed. How long were you there when that happened?
That was 3 months in.
Oh my God.
And then I ended up staying a little bit longer because I didn't have a passport and I had no money. I was like, how am I going to do this? I have to travel to the embassy, which is completely across India on the other side. And I need money to do that. And then I have to get a new passport. And that's a whole nother story. So I ended up staying a little over. I don't know how much over, but three
You were
months.
stranded in India
Yeah.
with no money and no passport.
Yeah. And see, that there's where my mom came in, right? So this interesting relationship where sometimes when I needed her the most, like, she shows up. And so she did everything she could to get me into the embassy because it was hard to, well, I'm not going to get into that. It's a long story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she helped. She helped me get an appointment at the embassy. She was able to wire me a little bit of money so that I could get there, and then yeah. Mhm.
What was the yoga aspect of that trip like? Did you,
So, yeah, I was practicing Ashtanga yoga at the time. And so Ashtanga yoga, um, well, back then there was one teacher that you would go to. He
uh-huh.
was famous for teaching Ashtanga yoga.
Who's that?
His name was Pattabhi Jois. He has since passed away. But so I went there to study with him. And then when I got there, I realized it's like this isn't my scene. Um,
Was it Indians there, or was it a bunch of, like, Westerners?
Westerners,
It was
yeah.
all Westerners there?
Yeah, and at that point, I think he was famous, like Madonna and, what's his
Paul
name?
McCartney or something?
No. Oh my gosh, I actually used to really love his music, and I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, like, famous people would study with him, and so it
Yeah.
was one of those things where, there'd be a line, and you'd wait to get in, and, it's a certain type of practice where it's not led. You have memorized the postures. They're in the same sequence, so you'd wait in line. Typically, they'd give you a general time slot,
Uh-huh.
and then you'd go as people leave, you would come in and you'd start your practice. And so everybody's at different points in their practice and he would walk around and adjust and yeah.
Do you leave with some certifications? I'm like,
I think you could, but that's not I wasn't there for that.
yeah.
So I don't know what that would have looked like back then, like how many months or it was also very expensive. So yeah. And then it was very I don't want to, traditional is not the word, but for instance, like women were not allowed to practice when they were menstruating. There's holidays that you would have to take off, and so there was some kind of like strict parameters around practicing that didn't resonate with me.
Right.
And then there was also at that time, India and Pakistan were in, I think they
Fighting
were threatening a nuclear war at one point.
Kashmir.
Right. And he would hold these, oh my gosh, I hope there's no like Ashtanga lovers.
Look, if there's any Ashtanga lovers in the audience right now, I need you to earmuffs, okay?
No,
Earmuffs real quick.
is great. Hey. But so Pattabhi Jois would offer these like community Q&A sessions, right? Because you wouldn't talk. You'd go in, you do your practice, you leave. I think it was once a week. And so I had not gone yet. I had not gone to practice with him. I had not gone to one of these Q&As. I had just arrived, but I happened to be staying in one of these places where a lot of the Ashtangis would stay.
Uh-huh.
And so as I was like trying to get over jet lag, I would go to lunch and I would hear them talk and whatever. And so I heard about how they had one of their Q&As and someone asked a question about Muslims in Pakistan and his response was not great. Like I don't remember the exact words, but basically saying they're all liars, so I don't listen and to what they say and blah 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 blah, right? And so at that point, I thought, this just doesn't.
This dude's not enlightened.
Yeah, and it's not like I was expecting to be in the presence of an enlightened being. I fully understood that the practice that I was doing was quite physical, right?
Okay. Were
But
you seeking enlightenment?
no,
No.
no.
You were seeking a skill set.
No, I mean, I was seeking spirituality, right? But I didn't have this belief that all yoga teachers from India are enlightened. I see them as humans, but I did expect him or whatever teacher that I practice with to be more aware, more on the path and evolved in some way spiritually.
Compassionate and empathy. That
Yes.
that loving kindness meditation, metta meditation.
Right.
More, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with that response about these others.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you got a
Yeah.
couple glimpses,
Yeah.
then you got robbed. The universe took you away from India.
Well, so I ended up finding another teacher and I did study for 3 months.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't Ashtanga
It
anymore.
was.
But it was a
So
different
here's
teacher.
so here's the interesting thing, like Pattabhi Jois is famous, right,
Uh-huh.
for Ashtanga. But the thing is there were other teachers that were also taught Ashtanga, like
Uh-huh.
the postures, the sequence, and from the same teacher, right? And who knows why he became famous? I have my thoughts and opinions, but who knows?
Yeah.
The teacher that I studied with had the same teacher as Pattabhi Jois,
Uh-huh.
was given kind of the same practice, but he focused on other aspects. Like he wanted you to do the breathing practices. He wanted you to do what's called the shakriyas, like these cleansing practices, like the one that's really well known is like the neti pot, right?
Yeah.
And so you had to do a wide variety of other practices under his tutelage or whatever, right? And so I studied with him and continued to practice Ashtanga. And so I did that for 3 months and then had the the incident on a bus. And
Probably learned a lot in those 3 months. That's a long time. You were practicing yoga every day, like full time.
yes.
That was your life.
Yeah.
Was yoga,
Mm,
Ashtanga yoga.
mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
What happened when you got back? You were. Oh wait. While you're there, you were sober.
Yes.
No drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
You were eating a vegetarian diet. Was it vegetarian?
Yes. Yes.
You probably was the food good over there?
Yes.
It's good food.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It was
Ish.
no, it's great, but you just had to know where to go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to know where to go.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then did you get into any of the religions that were over there? I've interviewed a couple people from India, and they had some, they sacred cows. The cows would run around, and they
Of
would
course, yeah.
they
Yeah.
would basically like clean they were like serving the cows.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Well, yoga was a religion. Was that type of thing for you? It was spiritual.
it was spiritual. Yeah.
Spiritual.
Mhm.
But not religion. Yeah.
Mhm.
What's the difference between spirituality and religious?
For me, I think religious, it has some like rules and defines things in very specific ways, right? Like God is this,
Like
spirit is
dogma,
this. Yeah.
dogma.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah.
What happened when you get back to America? You were in
Mhm.
you're still 20 something,
20
early
yeah, I
20s.
actually turned 21 over there, but yeah, so then I came back. I was back for 3 or 4 years and just practicing living life, and then went back again for the second time, but this time I was doing like an around the world backpacking thing where I would spend like a month in each place.
Wow.
Or when I was in Europe, it might be like 3 days in Barcelona or 1 day in London. So I didn't spend as much time in Europe, but I would try it like I spent a month or close to in Nepal and in Thailand. And India, I stayed for a couple months again, but this time I traveled all around India.
And you had a better strategy for finance management?
Yeah. I mean, there's a
You
story.
would just tape money to your shirt.
Yeah.
All
And
these
it
money.
might,
I want this
yeah.
money.
No, I mean, there's a reason why I took my money out. I wasn't just like, I'm gonna take thousands of dollars of cash. There's a
Yeah.
reason.
There's a reason.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this time, yes, of course.
You did
I
better.
was more prepared.
Where'd you get all this money to go travel the world? Did you just
I mean, I'm
win the
20
lottery?
something.
You just saved up a bunch of
So I
cash?
worked as a restaurant manager and I got paid well.
You followed the family business.
I did. Yeah. In fact, my brother did too. My brother's a restaurant manager. My mom's a midwife now, though. Very different.
Very different.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So I worked as a restaurant manager I think at that time I was the kitchen manager. I got paid really well, and I got paid under the table a lot of it. Yeah.
Nice.
And so I was able to
Save a bunch of money.
a lot of money.
When you got back, did that
Yeah.
the guy crumble under the weight of your achievement in India?
What guy? The
The guy that you did it for.
I didn't do it for him. No,
I know
no,
you didn't, but we both know.
no, we don't.
A
No,
little
no,
bit.
no.
You told him, and you were like, "Listen to this."
You're gonna travel around the United States in your car.
I went
around the world.
I went down to India and learned Ashtanga yoga, and
No, we're still friends, and yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while, but we're still friends. And,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you have the same kind of dude picker as your mom? Did you invite in some bad dudes in your life?
They were not violent towards me.
No.
They were not, and they weren't violent. No.
To anybody.
No, to anybody. But they were, I mean,
Wounded birds?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all wounded birds.
Yeah, some more than well, I think we're all wounded birds. It's like, what are we doing with those wounds?
Yeah, how are you
Right.
Are you healing yourself? Are you aware of your wounds? Are you
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you keeping those from Carl Jung's, are you keeping those shadows in front of you?
Right. Yeah.
Instead of hidden down there, wreaking havoc.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So you did this world tour. Sounded like you went some awesome places.
Yes.
With this under the table cash from restaurant management.
Yep.
Were you practicing yoga and learning from people? You were.
Yeah.
With teachers, different teachers?
Yeah, and so I did go back to study with the same teacher.
You did?
I did.
Did he remember you? He was like, "Oh, Mary, you're back.
He did. Yeah.
I missed you."
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was very sweet, very kind, and I would spend time with him and his wife and his family.
Really?
Yeah. Mhm. His name was Shashadri. Mhm.
Shashadri.
Mhm.
Do you still communicate with him?
I don't. No, I haven't since then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I went back, I studied with him, but then when I was traveling around, I would just go, like I would see flyers or hear from other people in cafes of different yoga teachers, and I would just try anything and all the things.
Whoever the most popular teacher was in the area?
No, not
Or
popular because I didn't want that, but, it might be just, like, I remember somebody told me about an experience they had. It ended up being Kundalini yoga, but they were talking about the experience, and I was
yeah,
like, "That sounds interesting."
yeah.
They weren't popular, but they were somehow I would hear about it, right? And it would be interesting to me, or it seemed authentic or steeped in the tradition. There was just something.
Some authenticity.
Yeah, and so that's what I would
Would
gravitate.
you stick with those teachers for a while?
No.
It would just be you were just doing like a sample platter.
I might go for a couple classes and
Okay.
yeah.
But you're learning.
Right,
You're synthesizing all that
right.
stuff
Mhm.
in some
I
subconscious.
stayed with Shashadri for, a few months
Oh,
and
you
would practice
did?
with him every
Oh,
day.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's a it's so funny time. It's like how long was I there total and then I don't know how long I was with him versus like moving around, but it seems like it was a long time, but it
Man,
probably wasn't.
that's you're a legit yogi. Legit yogi. Why are you
We're
shaking
going
your
back
head?
to the expert terms.
I said legit.
I know,
You're
I
like, I'm sneaking another term in there. You're like, nah, I
No,
smell what you're cooking,
no,
Phil. You're just trying to say expert in a different way. But
no.
that's a unique experience
Sure.
to travel the
Mhm.
world to study with someone from the region or the areas where yoga originated and to bring
Mhm.
that back to America.
Mhm.
You would be skilled.
I feel like
You'd
a
have
lot
a
of people were doing it at that time. Like, if you
yeah,
were studying yoga, that's what at some point you would do,
you would do
right?
that.
Now that doesn't happen anymore, but back then that was just
A
yeah.
lot of people were doing it.
I feel like, I don't know.
Did you go native when you were there, or did you hang out with
Wait,
other
what does that mean?
when you go native, that's when you hang out with locals and you kind of
Oh,
immerse yourself in the culture. You don't
yes.
hang out with other kind of foreigners.
Yeah.
You eat the food, you dress the clothes, you probably find you an Indian boyfriend. You
No.
learn how to talk the
Yeah.
language.
I think I was probably somewhere in the middle,
Right
right?
on.
Um, yeah, because for instance, like I wanted to learn sitar, and so
Ooh, you
I
learned
would
sitar?
I tried. That is a hard instrument, at least for me it was. But I had no like previous exposure to guitar or anything, so it was really challenging. But anyways, so for that, like I would try to ask around, like, if I went to a cafe, I'd ask the person there, "Hey, do you know any sitar teachers?" And so because of that, then yes, I would end up being with a sitar teacher, like where I was the only Westerner,
You
right?
were traveling alone?
Yeah.
And then again,
Mhm.
what was that like being a woman
Hard.
traveling the world alone?
Sometimes, and that's why I say it was in the middle, because sometimes I would meet somebody, like if I went to a yoga class and I met somebody and they're going to Mumbai, which I think is called something different now. But, if they were going somewhere, it's like, I want to go there, let's go together, because it was safer to be with another person, right?
Travelers.
Yeah. But then there were lots of times where I traveled on my own.